8 days, South Africa lost close to 50 billion rand. And more than 350 people died. Thousands of businesses were looted or burned to the ground. And one little-known state insurer stood between total economic collapse and recovery. This is the story of the July 2021 unrest, and why insurance matters more than most people ever think about, until the day they need it. The 2021 South African unrest, also called the July riots or the Zuma unrest, swept through KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng provinces from 9 to the 18th of July 2021. It was triggered by the imprisonment of former President Jacob Zuma for contempt of court, after he refused to testify at the Zondo Commission investigating corruption during his presidency. Protests against his incarceration quickly grew into wider rioting and looting, much of it carried out by people with no connection to Zuma at all, but driven instead by job losses and deep economic inequality made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. It became the worst episode of violence South Africa had seen since the end of apartheid. By the government's own count, 354 people lost their lives. More than a year later, over 5,500 people had been arrested in connection with the violence. The human cost was staggering. So was the financial one. The South African economy lost close to 50 billion rand, $3.5 billion in those 8 days alone. KwaZulu-Natal, the hardest hit province, saw insured losses estimated at around 20 billion rand. Roads were blocked, warehouses gutted, shopping centers reduced to ash. The rand weakened as much as 2% in a single day. Here's where the story turns to insurance, and why this matters to anyone who owns a business or property. Most ordinary insurance policies in South Africa exclude riot and civil unrest damage. That risk is instead carried by a single, specialized, state-owned insurer, SASRIA, the South African Special Risks Insurance Association. It was formed in 1979, in the aftermath of the Soweto uprising, specifically to cover the kinds of losses that ordinary insurers were unwilling to underwrite. For 4 decades, SASRIA operated quietly in the background, collecting modest premiums, rarely paying out anything close to what came next. In a normal year, SASRIA handles around 3,700 claims. After July 2021, it received a total of 17,589 claims, worth roughly 30.7 billion rand, nearly the entire event compressed into just 10 days. By September 2021, SASRIA estimated nationwide claims could reach 20 to 25 billion rand, making this the most expensive riot event ever recorded globally. This is the part most people never hear. SASRIA nearly didn't survive it. The insurer projected a loss of approximately 27.8 billion rand for that financial year, compared to a 2 billion rand profit the year before. Its solvency capital ratio collapsed. SASRIA's own CEO called it the company's greatest loss since 1979. To stay solvent, SASRIA needed a 22 billion rand cash injection from South Africa's national treasury, effectively a government bailout of the insurance market itself. Reinsurance costs spiked by 600%, and SASRIA's own premiums rose by 47%. Without that intervention, thousands of businesses that had done everything right, paid their premiums, held valid policies, might have received nothing at all. Despite the near collapse, SASRIA did what insurance is supposed to do. To date, it has paid out more than 32 billion rand in claims, with 97% of all claims settled. International reinsurance markets, including London, paid out a further $1.5 billion tied to the event. Thousands of small businesses were able to rebuild. Jobs came back. Shopping centers reopened. None of that happens without a functioning insurance mechanism standing behind it. Insurance isn't just paperwork you sign and forget. In moments of genuine crisis, it is often the only thing standing between a business's total loss and its ability to reopen the next month. And the risk hasn't gone away. SASRIA's own leadership has warned that low growth, high unemployment, and inflation continue to sow the seeds of discontent. The July 2021 riots were a national tragedy. But they were also a real-world stress test of an insurance system most people never think about until disaster strikes. That system bent. It nearly broke. But it held, and because it held, tens of thousands of businesses and workers got a second chance. That's the quiet, unglamorous power of insurance markets. Not preventing disasters, but making sure they don't have to be the end of the story.